Welcome to episode 21 of Liquid Velvet Literature. If only I thought of the right words, I could have held on to your heart. Welcome to episode 21 of Liquid Velvet Literature here on Prose Radio. It's been a Cure kind of morning around the house. Woke up with the Cure on my mind. I woke up with Lovesong stuck in my head, and then that switched over to, the entire album of Disintegration played in background while I did my things and walked my dogs, and just really wanted to. I just woke up feeling that way. Ever get like enough sleep but not enough sleep? You feel like you rested deeply, but you still are kind of groggy, but you don't want to go to bed because lots of coffee and sunlight, and you must wake up. And so the Cure helped with that this morning. And so we started off with the Cure quote to start off number 21. And I wanted to read from the site today, from the Spotlight page. It's kind of my go-to for content, but there were some writers that I've haven't read in a while, and I want to read them. And some were requested, and I couldn't have been any more happy that one of these were requested this morning. Use your words. Here we go. Okay, and on the Spotlight page, there are a few of them, but I'm going to start. Let's go bottom up on this one. And I think this is MeeJong, and it's called When. When I remember I am heartbroken, devastated, demoralized, unkempt. When I forget I am light, sociable, desirable even. When I run I am reminded, renewed, rebirthed. When I say I am ostracized, judged, executioned. When I speak, I remember today I should just listen. Words of wisdom. I should do that too. This is flashgordon in fantasy. It's a challenge. Feature a favorite flower in all its essence. That's cool. Okay. Dead rose petals strewn clog the hard arteries of my heart, your requested favorite, expensive, frail, fleeting, a dozen for a Benjamin, thornless stems hand-plucked. Least you bled while arranging them in that crystal vase kept above the fridge for especially expecting my deposit ransom for an exchange, kiss, hug, fuck, soon, too soon, dead, rotting, scummy, stinking water, dry, dead petals, shriveled crimson mouse ears, brief, transitory, cursory, fading, your fragrance suffocates me. That's good. Sorry I fucked that up, Flash. I'm reading these cold. Cold reads, hot coffee. Okay, well, that was dumb. Okay, Mariah. Now, I haven't read Mariah in a while. One of my favorites. There's something so, what's the word for this? Something so flowery, but yet visceral about this writer. It was like a soft, beautiful heart, but there's some grit and edge there. You just have to wait for it, like an aftertaste after you read her. And I love this writer, so I'm really happy that she was requested. And I'm gonna read this writer. So this is Alchemy. You make me believe that this is gold, while I wait with handfuls of sand, feeling like a fool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good. This night, beneath this ink-bled sleeping sky, a sweet unraveled longing, and all the ways I dared to think of how I'd make you mine. Beautiful. Such a beautiful, longing heart in that one. Springtime in Southern Appalachia. This has to be, I know, I love the South. In fact, I got a call from an old friend. We used to be real close, and we talked last night for a while about the South. And so this is going to be fun. All around, colorful blossoms are showing out, promising that soon road stand peaches will be for sale by the bag or by the eaches. What'd she say? Regional dialects are fascinating to me. Yeah, me too. Please feel free to share any specifics to where you live. Aw. Yeah, this is really good. This is a good piece. Yeah. I love me some South. Note to self, when using the shotgun, don't put your hard reflective coffee cup below your mouth because you're going to get that weird phase. Viridi, Oculi. I just felt like Bruce Campbell. Vlato. Anyway, Vlato, Nera. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is, it's Latin. Ray Charles can see that. I'm not going to pretend like I know what it means. I don't like to Google shit, and it's just pretense to that. I'm going to say, Oculi, of course, is ocular, but I'm going to guess like it's an eye-opening or maybe closed. No, I'm going to say, it sounds like, it doesn't matter, but it's intriguing to me. Anyway. Chatoyant currents tumble around my submerged heart, worn like river stone. Just so eloquent in its brevity. It's just beautiful. Okay, thanks for Mariah for those. Those were beautiful. This is PeteDevlin in Horror and Thriller. It's funny because I actually sent Mr. Devlin a message yesterday. Hope you don't mind me just sharing the story. And I kept saying PeteDevlin on the read, on the last video in 20, and he changed his name on me. So I was reading PeteDevlin, and he changed it fast. And as I was editing the video, I'm like, oh, fuck, I've been saying why am I saying PeteDevlin? I'm going crazy. And then it turned out when I was editing, I found out that he had just changed his username. So I thought it was kind of stupid on my part. But what isn't? Okay. PeteDevlin. Chamber. Dark fantasies ride glistening moonbeams through my chamber window. They dance their strange ballet on cobwebs in the flickering candlelight before they abide among the dusty tomes. The tapestry strained to muffle the sound of my breathing and the frantic scratching of my quill across the dry parchment. The moon slowly retreats behind thick clouds, and the moonbeams are pierced by raindrops until they fade. The raindrops do their melancholy waltz on the sill as lightning drives the dark from every corner of my chamber. I smile as the thunder awakens something deep within my soul. Somewhere outside my chamber door, a heavy chain drags the floor. I love those last two lines. I smile as the thunder awakens something deep within my soul. Somewhere outside my chamber door, a heavy chain drags the floor. Beautiful. My ASMR, just visualizing the objects in this poem and just hearing them, PeteDevlin. All right. Oh, pages. This should be good. I like this. I can tell it's going to be good already. Well, let's go. Separate. We each keep pages within the book of faces. Alone we abide in the crowded tome. As desperate loneliness grabs us, we see pages appear in our paths. Your words touch my soul and mine touch your heart. So we search the caverns for each other. Finally, we find the authors we were pursuing. We spill out our words and piece them back together until we decide together that it is time to leave the book. As we exit, the ink on our pages fades, and we put them away, their purpose fulfilled. Hand in hand and heart in heart, we seize the world. You are the peanut butter to my asparagus. Finally, I found the one who held the rest of my heart, the piece that I missed most desperately. At last, you found the one who would fill your soul. The hollow you wore was finally completed. We are each other's destiny. The world succumbs to our odyssey. Mountains rose to block our path to the light, but we knocked them down with our strength together. You share with me your knowledge. I share with you my strength. Just as we were about to stride into forever, the lemon said about his heinous attack. Together we triumphed against the dreadful onslaught, but the battles left me scarred and broken. You did not give up on me, but you could have. A lesser author would have written a new page, with the lemon conquered and the pages still dormant. We remain attached and complete in each other, and we bring the world to its knees before us. Together forever, plus a day. Holy shit, that was beautiful. What did Mariah say? Your words touch my soul and mine touch your heart. We search the caverns for each. Yeah, that is a great line. That stopped me. That's funny she saw that too. Well, yeah. Oh, that's so, thanks. The woman who inspired this work means more than anything. How beautiful is that? As single and cynical as I remain, there's part of me that's a hopeless romantic, and I really love that sentiment. Good for you, PeteDevlin, and congrats on being happy. And this one is BeaulaDaisle from the last couple of videos. This, again, I've already introduced this writer and said so many good things about this style, this talent. It's inimitable. And I'm glad that she's in the mix because I didn't spotlight these. So I'm just here to read. I'm the monkey with the microphone. Lead paint. In Russia, we had radiators. Hissing us into dreams, coiled atop our heads into perfect shades of fire. Not a single moment passed away. The clock I kept synced up, tick-tocking me into existence, resurrected. A closet full of cat bones, kerosene and gas masks, where I held myself in the business of an hour. Projects like dreams dismissed with pensive waves and a shush fallen toward well-intended wishes. Exclamation points to the question marks in the bend of my bones. Bottomless, like falling in sleep. You are no different, as we are all on our last drink of youth. So I carried myself across continents, concealed all my pointy ends with obedience, learning that enemies come in at all angles as I traveled away from the center. I left them behind like virgins that I flirted with and left believing. That is such a great fucking last line. I left them behind like virgins that I flirted with and left believing. Yeah, this is, something else caught me, but I want to read Ann Fan's comment here. Exclamation points to the question marks and the bend of my bones. Gorgeous. So many beautiful lines. Well, yeah. It's, and that's a compliment coming from her. And I think that, there was one more that just like, where was it? This one. You are no different, as we are all on the last drink of youth. So fucking perfect. Yeah. I love that. Well done. And this is by the same author. Poems never happened. My friends, my heroes, my lovers, fireball. We hunt each other out of silence into the glitter of webs. It takes us a while to find ourselves in parking lots and empty shopping carts and people that look like stories from a distance. in our squares inside our rubber shoes. We hold our hands out in our small towns, and all we ignite is fiction. Sorry, Beulah, my mouth went dry. I'm trying to hydrate. I just dropped a line. I flubbed a line that I really liked. There it was. When it says, and people that look like stories from a distance. Yeah, that is fucking beautiful. So, what else? I don't want to stop yet. I hope you guys don't mind. Well, you don't have a choice because I'm making the video, but I hope you don't mind. I hope you watch this whole thing is what I meant. And this is one I wanted to read, but it's in our comedy challenge. I'm going to read that at some point, I think, but a little somber today. So I actually read this one. This is Scopaesthesia. I think it's the fear of being watched, the sensation that you're being watched, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I don't want to Google it. I hope I said it right. But this is from our paranormal challenge from last month. This is White Wolf 32. White Wolf 32 was one of my first narrations, I think, for Prose Radio. Yeah, she was. She was in the Nietzsche video, and she followed Huckleberry Who's Huckleberry Who's Huck Finn piece. And, that was beautiful. I distinctly remember White Wolf 32 as a writer, and I remembered, I read this, and, I ended up reshooting the video because we had a different format we needed for that video. So I'm glad I'm here because I want to read this and kind of change gears. So, get some caffeine. And the challenge was, you're a videographer, you're a broke videographer, and you're, it's right here. You don't believe in ghosts or life after death, and you get a gig. This ghost hunting team brings you on, and it's a good challenge. But I wanted to read this. Okay. So I did read it, but I want to read it today. So I want to read it in real time. All right. More coffee. There is no face in the window. And then the definition of asylum follows. Okay. How confidently I announced that ghosts were nothing more than figments of an imaginative or perhaps deluded mind. $2,000 help wanted, I thought. What the hell? Why not? The cameraman never dies. It never crossed my mind that the cameraman could suffer a fate worse than death. There is no face in the window. They even provided me a camera, some fancy gadget they ordered off of Amazon, that claimed to be able to record the paranormal. It was heavy. I figured if a ghost came at me, I'd go down swinging $300 worth of equipment at their dead face. We saw nothing. Honestly, I was as much of a skeptic as I've always hoped for something or someone would prove me wrong. As we walked through the hallways, grainy, dim-lit footage marking our path, I found myself hoping, show me something, anything. We marched along for hours, with a kid 4 years younger than me narrating the scene. 12:34, Eastern Standard Time, no signs of any activity yet. My name is Kevin Schumer, and I'm here with my crew, and tonight we are joined by... He pauses. The cameraman, I finish, which prompts a few uneasy giggles. Yep, that's me, the eternal watcher. I see and I record for posterity. There is no face in the window. We were there until 4 a.m. Our eyelids had grown heavy. Our live stream had exactly one viewer. Perhaps that was why I felt like I was being watched. Nothing had happened. No doors had slammed, no windows broken. We were alone. Yet, I could not shake the feeling. There is no face in the window. I drove myself home. Headlights lit up the parking lot. Yellow lines, black asphalt, then darkness again. As I made my way up 3 flights of stairs to my apartment, my lights refused to turn on. A power outage, or had my power been cut, I did not know. I was too tired to care. Tomorrow my check would hit my account, and then I could solve the problem of late rent. I laid down in nothing but boxer shorts, awaiting the release of sleep, and found that I could not hold my eyes shut. A feeling was sinking into my spine, like a numbing injection, and I found myself tingling with some unseen awareness. I was being watched. There is no face in the window. It has been 3 weeks since I had looked outside that night to reassure myself that I was alone. There is no face in the window. Yet the feeling did not leave. It only grew. More and more, I believed I was haunted. There is no face in the window. Each night, I checked the door, the closet, the bed, the window. Wait, the window. Tonight, one last desperate cry, the moment before the mind shatters. There is no face in the window. It has followed me home. Now I will follow it home, to my sanctuary, to my asylum. I am the face in the window. You will feel me watching just as I felt it. When you look outside tonight, do not trust your eyes, trust your instincts. There is a face in the window. Yeah. It is fucking creepy. I like that. I forgot that how much fun I had narrating that the last time I read that. That's so good. Okay. What else? This is arts. Again, I'm not going to even fucking attempt this username, but I'm going to follow this person. Okay. I've never read this writer before, but I'm going to read this writer right now. That's so stupid. Like, what an obvious thing. I have never read this. Okay, here we go. Where Death Lives. I was dead. The last thing I heard was the vicious whine of a shell that hit the beach about 10 yards to my left, between me and the empty Higgins boats floating like toys in the surf. The black sand erupted and something ripped through my helmet and threw me forward onto my face. For a while it was dark and quiet. It was a beautiful relief. A minute ago I had been so scared that I was afraid I'd wet my pants or worse. Now it was over, just like that. Boom. Over. It seemed like a long time, the sweet blessed dark. It seemed like a year of rest and peace. I found my sense of returning awareness. No, I'm dead. I know it. Why would I want to return to Iwo Jima? Why would I want to be anywhere near this unspeakable war? First, there was utter confusion as the light began to return. Where was I? What was happening? Then I righted myself as I had been thrown into a roaring surf. I knew which way was up. I knew which way I had to go. My body lay with half its face buried in the sand. I could see one eye. It was still open, but nothing moved. The iris no longer reacted to the changing light. The muscles were utterly still. I felt a tearing and complete sorrow. That used to be me, and now what is it? It's not me. I won't be living and moving inside those muscles and sinews. Not anymore. A piece of shrapnel had sliced open the helmet and pierced the body's skull. I died fast, at least there was that. 1 second I was a lieutenant in the Marines, the next I was up here above the beach, floating. My pathetic little carbine had been flung barrel first into the sand. It stood canted at an angle, my first grave marker. Well, Sam, here you are. You're dead. You got 40 feet up Iwo's black sand before a shell splinter popped your head open. I realized that this was the crucial moment. This was Samuel Podolsky's crisis. A consciousness still existed that was me. I knew I was dead. I had prepared myself for this moment. When I was a teenager, I had thought about becoming a priest or a monk. I had read all kinds of books. I had imagined my death 100,000 times. I was curious, not morbid. I was just a kid. Then the war came and changed everything. Now I was a lieutenant in the United States Marines. Instead of leading souls to God, I led men into combat. This was not a book. This was real. This was death. Above all things, I knew I had to get this right. I had to die right. I was like a bell that had been struck and must ring true. Boom. Some force grabbed me and lifted me into the air until I hovered about 1,000 feet above the beach. I could see everything. Shell bursts, tracers, fire from ships, fire from Marines, fire from Japanese bunkers. Deadly projectiles flew from dugouts and log-covered rat holes. It was completely silent. I saw the scrambling dots of Marines along the landing zones. They were still falling out of the Higgins boats. Some of them didn't even make it to the surf. They were frozen on the edge of the landing craft with their arms dangling. Oh, dear God, such carnage. The sea was paved with ships. The little island was a heap of black, red, and orange, the colors of erupting sand and dirt wreathed with fire. It was just a rock with a couple of airfields. There was barely any vegetation, a little scrub, torn-up branches, and a 500-foot rise they called Mount Suribachi. Artillery barrels poked from the camouflage emplacements. A flash of light, a puff of smoke, and the barrel disappeared in its recoil. The shell exploded down on the beach. Return fire pocked around the enemy gun, but it had vanished. This was happening all over the island, the vanishing guns, the futile return fire. My last living thought had been about my guys, the men in my company, Thorne, Willis, Zelazny, Fryer, almost 200 others. My guys, my responsibility. I had been looking back over my shoulder when the shell hit. I saw Sergeant Poston slogging up the sandy slope, his arm windmilling to wave the troops forward. His face was a mask of murderous rage and terror. His mouth was gaping wide, and his tongue was thrust out, but he was still going. He was running as fast as he could and waving his squad forward. The hot, deep sand made the act of running a scuttle towards complete exhaustion. The heat was fierce. There were no clouds in the sky, just smoke and flying debris. It seemed like the whole island had come alive and was trying to kill us. Now I could move freely through all this chaos. I could look at a place and be there instantly. Sergeant Poston had brought 4 of the Marines into a little rise of ground where their eyes could just peer over the barrels of their rifles to return fire. Japanese soldiers were invisible. One of the Marines with Poston took a bullet right through the forehead. It was Shelby Franks. He was a good kid, a hard-working farm boy who dropped out of high school to fight for his country. Now he was dead. He had passed from life to death in a fraction of a second. I watched intently, saw a misty form coalesce over the boy's body, and it was his spirit. It was nearly transparent, but it was him, Shelby Franks. His face was full of terror and confusion. I heard the first sound since I died. I heard Frank screaming. His spirit form, his ghost, whatever it's called, was running back and forth, howling, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy." A wave of calm descended through me like a blessed mist. It was warm and comforting like a mother's embrace. It brought me knowledge. As I watched the poor kid screaming, running back and forth, yelling for his mother, I knew that I was there to help. I didn't know why I could help. I just could. I floated next to Frank's ghost and put my ghostly hand on his ghostly shoulder. It wasn't like touching flesh. It was like feeling cotton. "Shelby," I said, and a voice came from my mouth, a voice more feminine than my own. "Shelby," I said, "everything's okay. You'll be all right." The boy stopped his ragged dance and looked at me with frightened innocence. "Mom?" he asked, his voice swollen with hope. "No, son, I'm not your mom. I'm Lieutenant Podolsky. Everything is going to be okay." He pointed at his body, lying prone and still, with its face pressed into the dirt. The hands were still fixed to the rifle stock and trigger. "But I'm dead," he wailed with a terror that made his voice sound like a shredded piece of fabric. I know. I touched his shoulder again, and it seemed as though some of my calm flowed into the cottony feel of his ghost form. "You're a Marine, son. Those are the breaks. You did your duty and fought bravely. That's all anyone can ask." The form trembled and turned away from me. "I can't be dead. No, it'll kill my mom. Who's going to take care of her after the war?" He floated back towards his body and seemed to dig at it, like a dog digging for a bone. He tried to push his ghostly presence back inside the body, but it was no good. He threw himself down and bounced away. The dead body rejected him. He looked back at me and then was at my side. "Mommy," he said, "I think I'm hurt real bad. I need your help." He put his ghost head into my chest and embraced me. "Shelby Franks," I said gently, "I am Lieutenant Podolsky. I am not your mother. You just died on the beach at Iwo Jima. It's best that you accept this." He recoiled from me, floated backward. "You're the devil," he screamed. "You've come to take me to hell." He turned and tried to run, but he didn't go anywhere. His form changed from moment to moment. He slipped through the ages of his life, from being a newborn infant to a boy, then to a teenager, and finally a Marine at war. His countenance looked alternately angelic and cruel. It was the same face, but it bore so many marks of both good and evil that it oscillated from great sweetness to the horridly vicious. Then it settled into the face of the soldier, and I knew he returned to me and said with infinite sadness, "I am dead, right? I won't be going home, but I'm still like this." He gestured with his fingers to indicate his ghostliness. He seemed to look inward, deeply inward. "I think I'll be going to heaven. I was a good kid. I wasn't perfect, but I went to church. I helped my mom on the farm after my dad died. I was a good kid." "I know you'll be going to a good place," I told him as truthfully as possible. I didn't know where anyone was going. I didn't know where I was going. I had a sense that the realm of death may be a bit more complicated than heaven and hell. "Private Franks," I barked, asserting my officer's authority. "You're a Marine. Square yourself away. You still have duties to perform." He seemed to flush with embarrassment, then straightened himself and saluted. "Yes, sir," he cried. "Go forth and find other Marines who have died. Just be calm and comfort them and tell them the truth as you see it. This is your new assignment." "Yes, sir." Again he saluted. We looked around us at the battlefield, which was still wreathed in eerie silence. There were ghosts rising from bodies in all directions. Not all the dead were alone. Various forms had materialized around them. Some looked like the parents and grandparents of these boys. Some looked evil and taut with malice. Most of the dead were simply alone, rising like smoke from their lifeless bodies. A great wail slowly broke through the silence. It was made of the various calls for solace. "Mommy, help me. Mama, mama, mom." The sad, tender music of mother longing filled the battlefield. All these boys were reaching for their greatest comforter. Other cries rose from the slope. "Oh, Lord Jesus, help me. Christ, oh, Christ. Adonai, Ili, Adonai. Dear God, I'm so scared." The shape of the world suddenly changed. An amphitheater was forming. The walls of the beach curved upward. The ocean arched overhead. The hard rock of the island's interior, the bulk of the mountain, all of it became a great bowl. Inside this bowl, the spirits of the dead ran in all directions, bumping into one another, confused. I stayed where I was. It seemed to be at the center of the bowl. "Lieutenant, Lieutenant," a voice supplicated, and a cottony hand fell upon my shoulder. I recognized Corporal Williams. "Yes, Corporal," I responded. The corporal did not forget his salute. I returned it. "At ease, Corporal," I said. He relaxed and took position at my side. "We are dead, ain't we, sir?" Williams stated. "Yes," I answered. "Shit," the corporal cursed. Then he looked sheepish. "Maybe I shouldn't be cursing in this place, whatever this is. At least it's goddamn quiet. Oh, shit, I did it again. Sir?" I tapped him on the chest with my cottony hand. "I don't think you'll be judged for a few curse words, Corporal." Williams relaxed. "Guess not. Bigger things are happening, huh?" "Yeah," I said. "Bigger things than a few curse words." The two of us sat together and spirits came to us. I saw so many of my guys, far too many. The battle was terrible. Their spirits came in various conditions of confusion and denial. I simply told the truth. We were dead. I didn't know what would happen next, but it would be okay. Time and space were elastic. An hour passed in a second, a minute passed in a month. I found myself going from soldier to soldier. I was being moved by a greater force, a force that used me as if I were a doctor making rounds. It carried me to the place I was needed. Colonel Waterford refused to believe he was dead. I found his body covered by a tarp while his spirit raged at his junior officers. "Get those men off the beach. Where's Klein? He should have suppressed fire from that fucking mountain." None of his staff heard his voice. It was driving him crazy. He reached impulsively for the .45 strapped to his hip, but his hand came up with a nebulous object, something that looked like a gun, but it was not a gun. It slipped through his fingers, and he had scrabbled in the sand. Cursing with frustration, I approached and performed my best salute. "Sir," I said, "Lieutenant Podolsky reporting with an urgent message, sir." "Well, what is it?" shouted the colonel. "Sir, you are dead, sir." I showed him the body under the tarp. He refused to accept the truth. He looked around for an MP. "Someone arrest this idiot," he bellowed. No one heard. I began to see cracks in his composure. He carefully smoothed them over and continued howling orders. It took me a long time to settle him. He couldn't accept the fact of his death. He raged and complained. "Who left that corpse here?" He pointed to his own body. "Somebody take it away for fuck's sake. It's beginning to stink." There was nothing more I could do. When the spirits of the first Japanese soldiers began to drift into our expanding circle, many Marines instinctively reached for weapons. There were no weapons. When they tried to fight with their hands, it was impossible to grip the cottony substance of the enemy. Next to me, the spirit of Corporal Williams said, "Ah, fuck, look at them, sir. They're just kids, like our guys. Just kids who got killed fighting for their country. What a waste." He made a full turn, looking at whatever he saw. I don't know if he saw what I saw, but his next statement endeared him to me forever. "You know," he said, "from this vantage point, war looks like the stupidest, most moronic thing in the whole fucking world." I noticed that in the sky above the huge amphitheater of war, there were hordes of spirits. They were tumbling about, all in a confused mass. They seemed to be trying to descend to the level of the beach. They stopped one another. Light spirits with wings of gold reached for the rising souls of the young soldiers. Demons with black fangs tripped them, held them, obstructed them, wrestled with them. More and more soldiers came to join our mass of spirits. Japanese and Americans sat quietly speaking. Language was no impediment. They understood one another. It seemed like they were caught between two wars. The angels and devils competed to get past one another. I looked farther up and saw an orb of light that was brighter than 1,000,000,000,000 suns. It was burning with sweet ferocity, yet it did not blind or sear. It was light, and it caused everything to be what it was. It took no sides. One at a time, the spirits in the air passed through their own conflict and drifted down to float near a soldier. Many of the angelic spirits came. Some of the devils came too, but not so many. Each one chose a soldier. The spirits extended their wings or claws and took the soldiers. The angels lifted their charges towards the light. Holes opened beneath the hooves of the demons, and they carried their assigned souls down and down into the earth's crust. Gradually, the pairs of spirits appeared. They faded away, vanishing over and through the bowl that was Iwo Jima. The battle was ending. Flamethrowers were mopping up. The bowl of the island grew transparent. I could see inside Mount Suribachi with its many caves and tunnels. Charred Japanese bodies lay stiffened in grotesque postures. Blackened bones of clutching hands pushed into the air. They would stay buried there forever. It seemed as if only a few minutes had passed. The shape of the island had been changing from that of a bowl into one of a flat plain. It was an endless desert, but a few pebbles to mark off the distance to the horizon. A ragged line of Japanese soldiers were huddled together, tiny, far away. Near to me, a fortress stood, with walls that extended into the sky. It was a monstrous battlement, with 10,000 flags waving. It bristled with guns and spears, arrows and vats of boiling oil. I knew what would happen. I knew because it was as logical as fate. There was no caprice, no irony to it, only a terrible dignity. The Japanese stood proudly, waving their curved swords. A man stood among them, taller, more proud, more dignified. He was dressed like all the others except for his high boots and the open white shirt collar over his tunic. He was the general, Kirstyshark. He seemed to be miles away, but I heard him speak. His soldiers looked to him with great love and devotion. He was talking to his men, though something more intimate in his diction told me he was speaking to his family, to his son. My life is but a lantern glowing in the wind. Those were his last words. Banzai! The soldiers charged the huge fortress, waving their swords with great ferocity. In response, the massive thing seemed to swallow deliberately and to spit a giant bomb. The bomb struck the oncoming soldiers and vaporized them instantly. The battle was over. I was all but alone. Here and there, I could see the living, but they were becoming more tenuous as the ghosts became more real. The spirits from the final charge were taken by a great samurai ghost, a creature of impeccable composure. It wore an elaborate helmet with antlers of carved irony. The general bowed to the samurai spirit. It bowed in return. There was a flash of light, as if the sun had gleamed on a sword blade. The soldiers vanished. I sat quietly. The great light, the light as powerful as 1,000,000,000 suns, the light that did not burn but healed, came closer. It drew itself out of the heavens and approached. As it did, so there coalesced yet another form, another being. It was dressed in ordinary civilian clothes. It walked on the ground, coming forward until I could see it plainly. I had an odd sense that I was looking at my own twin. The being was so much like me, yet different in many ways. It was both male and female. It radiated such peace of countenance. If I could choose to be anyone, I would choose to be this being who now put its arms around me. Samuel, it said, you're ready. You've done well. It's time to go. Yes, I said, it's time to go. I allowed the being to absorb me in its embrace. I felt more complete than I had ever imagined it was possible to feel. This being was myself and not myself. It was something I could call soul or spirit or any of a myriad names. It rose into the sky and carried me towards the light of 1,000,000,000 suns. Yeah, that was really good. And embarrassingly, I've never read this writer. And I didn't know this was going to be so long, but I literally could not stop reading it. As beautifully long as this was, good writing just never gets old. I'm looking back thinking, man, I really fucked up this word, I should have said blessed dark, but that's my own discipline. Anyway, what a beautiful fucking story. Okay. Artsrosch. I guess it'd be artsrosch, I don't know. Jazz, astronomy, photography, reading, first draft of the Shadow Storm based on Yugoslavia's demise, looking for an agent or a tornado and it gets cut off. Okay. Well, I hope you write more. That'd be a waste if you didn't. I hope you write more on the site, not in your own place. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for that, artsrosch. Okay. And I'll close it out with this one, Kirstyshark, Old Dreams, and this is That's a micro poetry. It's an old challenge, but or older, I guess. I don't know. Old dreams. Old dreams are never quite old. No aging gracefully, not resolved while remaining dreams, just waiting for life or death. Nice. And that's going to wrap today. Thank you for being here, and thank you to all the talent that was featured on the show today. And really, really blown away by the level of writing on the site. So thank you for that. And before I go, like I always say, if you like to read or write, go to prose, read, write, inspire, be inspired. Again, the world needs your work, now more than ever. Let's bring this shit down to normal again, in our own beautiful, abnormal ways. So, I'm gonna get out of here. I will see you in the new video. Take good care.